I'm Nergish Wadia-Austin, and I'm an international business management trainer and consultant to the hair, beauty, spa, and wellness industry. I also train industry professionals in the value of great customer service and how to deliver it to maximize customer spend and secure long-term customer loyalty. She's the executive director of the Professional Beauty Group. This includes the Hairdresser's Journal, HJI, professional beauty magazines, and trade shows like Salon International and Professional Beauty. Today, I'm in conversation with the industry dynamo that is Jayne Lewis-Orr. Welcome, Jayne.
Oh, hi Nergish, it's so lovely to see you. How are you doing?
I'm so excited to be doing this conversation with you because, you're Jayne Lewis-Orr, what can I say?
I'm terrified.
Lady of hairdressing.
No, I'm not.
I have to say welcome and thank you for taking this time to talk to me.
Pleasure.
Jayne, can we just dive into this conversation with something very important?
Yeah.
If you were talking to a salon owner just now, given your vast experience in the industry, and it's not just a one-path experience, you literally have worked in or touched base with most aspects in the industry and most leaders in the industry.
Yeah.
What advice would you give a business owner in hairdressing in the UK and my audience is worldwide?
Yeah.
3 things that you think that they need to know about running their business to make it successful?
I think communication is absolutely paramount, and that's communication both internally to your own team members and your suppliers, and it's building those relationships and having that team and an open conversation with the team where they feel they can share what they think and not be judged for it. My view is no idea is a bad idea. So it's free-flowing conversation and comms with the team, and also very clear comms about the direction and the goals that the business has so that everyone's pulling in the same direction. I think often you can know what you want for your business, but you don't necessarily tell everybody else. You think they know, but actually that's where misunderstanding can happen. And also communication with customers. Your clients need to know who you are, what you're doing. So everything you do, whether it's a social media post, a direct mail piece, has to retain that brand integrity. So for me, comms is first and foremost. Secondly, for me, it's about the team. It's the people you work with. You're only as good as the people that you work with. I don't care what business you're in. You are only as good as the people that you surround yourself with.
Agreed.
So, that team development, team retention, how do you keep and grow your good people? If they're good, they're going to be ambitious. They're going to want to grow. But actually, everybody wants different things. I think some people make the assumption that it's all about money. And actually, for many people, it's not about money. It can be recognition, it's training, it's growth. And also it's the integrity of the company that they work within. And then finally, if I was running a salon, and I have to say, I think I am a bit of a closet wanting to be a salon owner at some point in my life. It's about actually living your own customer journey. So, everybody should understand what the customer journey is from the minute they either pick up the phone or send an email. How is the phone answered? What email do they get back if you're out of office or out of hours, or they want to book an appointment, right through to how they're greeted, and actually put yourself in the customer's shoes. So what does that feel like? What does it look like? And be really honest with yourself about what you see, what you like, what you don't like, and where you might want to improve. And I would also be going to other salons and trying the customer experience to see what, we can all learn from each other. I don't think there's any secret in that. So I think for me, they would probably be my 3 things for a salon owner.
How beautifully said, Jayne. I don't think they could have gotten any better advice. So let's start with you, because I got to tell you, 3 things that you feel you've achieved in your career that you're most proud of. Are there 3 specific moments? Are there 3 different things? Tell us.
It's really different for me because normally I'm the interviewer as opposed to the interviewee. So this is really, really uncomfortable. I suppose the things I'm really proud of are the way I've been there such a long time that when I started on Hairdresser's Journal, we were a weekly magazine and there was no such thing as the internet because I am that old. And I think it's how we've developed the business and taken it to, it's still retained that print through the monthly, but we've also expanded our reach globally with our social media channels and web presence. And I think the team do a phenomenal job of keeping people informed and up to date and responding responding to the audience. I think, you know, gone are the days when people will wait till Friday morning to find out who won British Hairdresser of the Year on Monday. They want to know as soon as we're saying the name on the night. So, you know, we can always do better, we can always learn, but I think the way that we've managed to develop the magazine to this kind of, whether it's in print, online, or face-to-face, and the face-to-face, I suppose, you know, I was editor when we launched the Business Awards, and I am proud of that, because the British Hairdressing Awards are phenomenal and they're globally recognised, and we continue to develop that. But for me, you have to do the business if you want to do the creative.
Of course, because
So
what is going to fund the creativity?
Exactly. So it was about highlighting the people who are often unsung heroes and the unseen heroes of any business, because they're often behind the scenes, or they're managing the marketing, or actually, you know, recognising front of house teams and the assistants that salons can't run without. They are the backbone of a business. So for me, I'm proud of that. And then I suppose the other thing is the work I've done with the hair and beauty charity, and also when we were doing the Great Ormond Street Hospital hair raising. We all know hairdressing is a phenomenally giving industry,
yes,
but the support that we've had for both of those campaigns, and the hair and beauty charity particularly been in recent times, I think hairdressers are fantastic at realising that there are other people who might be having a tough time. You know, everybody lives their best life on Instagram, but they're not always having a really good time.
Well, it differs a bit to their reality somehow.
Yeah, and it's true. And I think people often don't want to share with people that they're having a really tough time. And, you know, one thing that I will always forever hold dear with me when, you know, if I'm old and grey and sat in a chair somewhere thinking about, you know, that this is one industry where you can genuinely make lifelong friends. And I feel very honoured to have met the people that I've met, and now can call them a friend. And, you know, you could ring them when you're having a tough time, and they will ring you when they're having a tough time, because they know they're not going to say, oh, guess who rang me and said. There's that real confidence thing. So it's difficult to pick three things, because I've loved every single second of it, pretty much.
Well, I've been at the receiving end of those calls in my tough times from you, and I have to say, I can absolutely say with confidence that what you are saying is not whitewash. It is actually done every single time. So absolutely the right answer, and I can vouch for it. You've always had a very inclusive attitude. I noticed that as a young girl. I must have been 17 when I first picked up my first hairdresser's journal in Hong Kong, when I started at Vidal Sassoons. And, you know, at the time when we used to receive the hairdresser's journal, and of course, you know, we were out in Hong Kong, you guys were publishing here, and you weren't the editor yet then, if I understand, because I'm older than you, so it's a very long time ago. And so I can safely say that it was aspirational then. It reflected, because it always showcased the best in industry, and we were in awe, but we got to see what Britain was doing all the way in Hong Kong, and that was our connection. And I have to say, at the time, it wasn't, I would say, as inclusive as it is now. And today, the Hairdresser's Journal you and your team produce, the one thing that struck me when I moved from Asia to the UK was that you were inclusive. Something changed with the journal when you arrived. And that was quite obvious to me and my bosses that ran Sassoons and then went on to being Andre Norman, the salon that we ran. And I remember thinking, hey, they invite people. You don't have to be a celebrity hairdresser to get your points across, to get your artistry noticed. None of that happened when you took over. And I think that was so noticeable to me, who was a huge fan of Hairdresser's Journal. And so I'd like to ask now, because of your inclusive attitude, if there is a salon owner or someone in their business that wants to get their artistry noticed and wants to come in, what is the route? What is the best way to approach your magazine to get noticed?
So, you know, they can pick up the phone the old-fashioned way. People
Superb.
can email us. I think, you know, our emails are very straightforward. They're our first name. So mine is Jayne, Jayne, @hji.co.uk. But often we now get people DMing us through Instagram or Facebook or even LinkedIn. And that's also fine because we monitor those and we'll go back. Creative work, I think it's, in some ways it's easier to get noticed now because we do like hashtag HJ loves or hashtag HJ color reel. If people use those, we'll see them and pick up at them and repost. And actually the team and me always want to see new talent. And that doesn't mean young talent. It can be any talent. It's not an age related thing. It might be that they've just never thought to send something through to us. And I think, you know, we will continue to want to champion and publish everybody. My feeling is that, you know, the industry has phenomenal people at the top of it, and we should never take anything away from them. But there's also a huge number of salons and individuals that are operating either on the high street or freelance who are doing a great job and a great service. And actually, we want to hear from those voices because they give everybody perspective. You know, not everybody is running a super salon. And actually, we want to be talking to people that the majority can understand and relate to. So it's really important for us. So we've run focus groups, and we have a WhatsApp group now with one of the focus groups, and they are absolutely fantastic. And we did Zoom drinks one Friday night. They were very disappointed I was drinking milk because they were all drinking. But I was still working, to be fair, because I had some stuff to finish up. But it's just, honestly, just get people to approach us. And even if they see us at events, come up and say hello. And I think people do more now. I mean, hopefully, I'd hate to think people wouldn't want to come to talk to me or the team. And actually, we also don't mind hearing if people have got an opinion that they don't like something we've done, because we can only get better if people tell us what we're not doing well enough or right. And we can only improve if they tell us what they want to see more of. So, you know, the more the merrier.
I got to tell you, that's music to my ears, because being someone who trains, you know, business management within this industry, and I do it all over the world, I have to say that this is very encouraging, because, as you know, people look to this magazine as the gold standard. I mean, it's been around for so long. The quality of the work has always been superb. It's about everybody in this business. And I think that's such an amazing thing for salon owners to hear all over the place. So thank you for that one.
Well, the more the merrier, seriously.
Could I ask, do salon owners, in your opinion, do salon owners use our trade journals, Hairdresser's Journal, HAI, and all the other trade journals available? And I'm talking now about hair and beauty. Do we use our journals and our online magazines to the best of our ability, or are there areas that you wish we used more of?
I think when we look at, we monitor the traffic, for example, on the website, so we know where people are looking. Obviously, we've been in unprecedented times, so anything that we've been publishing in regards to the coronavirus has been hugely and widely seen. I think what's encouraging is that our business articles, and often you're contributing to those kind of things, are usually amongst the most highly trafficked. So it's really positive to know that people are looking at those areas as well. And I think, you know, if you want information on whether it be maternity law or contracts, actually it is much easier to be able to type that into HJI than it is to be flicking through back issues and thinking, damn, when did I see that? Was it this year? Was it last year? So it's just about using the resource. And I mean, we are continually looking at how we improve the site to make it easier to find that information, because sometimes it's not as easy as it should be. There's no, you know, hands up, there's no doubt about that. I think for us, it's about sharing a balance between creative inspiration and education, and getting across, you know, the point that you have to be running a good, solid business and managing and motivating your team. And often it's tough for salon owners because they're often the busiest person in the salon, and they're also trying to do everything else. And actually the and everything else is often a full-time job. So it's for us, it's about, I want us to be a central resource where we can give them as much information that's accessible and relevant as possible.
Yeah, agreed. Right. So there's something else that's been very close to my heart for years, because I actually feel, because I teach leadership skills and stuff in our industry, I connect up to a lot of what you do, because it's the bigger events. So for example, you run Salon International. I've been involved with Salon for a number of years from a business lecturing point of view, but
Yeah.
I've always said to salon owners, there is so much to be gained by taking their teams to those events, because on a motivational level, on a team building level, on several levels, but just the learnings that's being offered there and stuff like that. So could you just somehow perhaps put it across, what is there to gain as a salon owner to attending trade shows generally?
I think they're a truly immersive experience, aren't they? It's the one place where you can see and touch and feel and try everything that you need from your business, whether it's a software platform, whether it's scissors, whether it's a new colour brand, it's new chairs, it's new furniture, through to even the small, you know, gowns, disposable items, those kind of stuff. And actually, for me, these industries are all about relationships. So people want to work with people that they have met kind of a rapport with. And if you can meet someone face to face and eyeball them, for me, that's a much stronger relationship than one done over email or even the phone. And I think it truly is become, someone once beautifully described it as, for Salon International, it's like a pebble that you drop in the ocean and the ripples are felt everywhere. And I think there's everything that you would need at the trade shows, from being able to shop, being able to buy, bring your team, let them see some education. There is so much content on the show floor that they can see the best hairdressing educators, they can talk to business people, they can see the pictures from the British Hairdressing Awards in the gallery. You can tick off so many things in one day or 2 days or 3, however long you want to spend there. But there's an abundance of stuff for people to, you know, and hopefully people plan what they want to do, because I think when you get there, it's like, wow, there's a lot to see and do. You know, you need to be quite rigid about who you want to see on which stage when, and does that clash with somebody else, because we've got a colour, so we're introducing a colour stage this year, we've got the modern barber stage, you know, the manufacturers all have big stages. It's a real sensual overload, in a sense, of hairdressing, but I love it.
I describe it as a smorgasbord of everything to do with hairdressing.
It is.
I have to say that I think they actually forget that, you know, in the salon, motivating staff, you know, creative people as such, you have to be creative yourself. But this opportunity, you know, I'm very fortunate to be involved in across the board in hair and beauty and spa and wellness now, thanks to you guys. Basically, just to say that if you've got creative types in your business, if you've got managerial types in your business, you know, putting them in a minivan and taking them to these trade shows. Because if someone's won a pair of scissors because they've done really great sales in a particular month or whatever, that's the time that you develop camaraderie, because you're taking them to something that is business related but fun.
Yes, it is fun.
And they can splinter off, because the management type can actually go listen to the webinars, and the creatives can go watch the icons of our industry, basically. And absolutely. I think it's that bit that they forget, that they can actually use those trade shows for so many other reasons. It's something fun to do that is business related, and it absolutely inspires. But
it bonds people, doesn't it?
It bonds people as well.
It bonds teams together. So
you'll be happy to know that when I have managed to get teams to go on and they've listened to me and done it, the letters that I get back stating, you know, Nergish, that's we've tried giving away days off and we've tried giving this, but we actually say that if you achieve this much, we will take you over to a trade show.
Wow.
And, you know, Salon International, it's amazing. Anyway, so let's carry on from there. I'm just going to refresh my memory now. The British Hairdressing Business Awards. I have often been very fortunate to be asked by you to judge them, and the quality of work that comes in is simply superb. And people try so hard, and I guess their efforts are rewarded because people are looking at them, judging them, etc. So from the leader's mouth, I want them to know what couple of things they can do to improve their applications where they stand a better chance of placing or winning? Let's cut to the chase. I want you to give them some top tips.
I think it's about reading the question, reading the criteria, and making sure you answer that question, because it's really easy. We all do it, to go off on a tangent. And actually, you need to make sure that you read, reread, and answer that question in a very simplistic way, using graphs, that whatever it is. It doesn't. And I think also for some hairdressers, the thought of writing a lot is really scary. Don't be scared, because it's not about that. It's about articulating however you do it, just in a clear and concise way, because often less is more, I would say. I think some people can go and put too much in them, so you're a bit like, wow, I'm never going to be able to get through all of these. So it's about being clear and concise, but making sure that you answer the question. And the big thing for me is, don't ever try and write it as though you're writing it as somebody else. We need to see, I mean, I don't judge, but I do look at the entries. You want to see the passion of that individual, that team, that group coming through. It needs to be screaming off the page that you've written this, that you are passionate about who you are, what you do, and how you do it. And I think you can really tell, that to me makes such a big difference when you're reading them. Because I mean, I've read many and I'm terrible, because I'm in tears, because I think, oh my God, it's just fantastic to hear the stories, and actually using the business awards to benchmark your own business and look at the bits that you're doing well and the bits that you're maybe not doing so well, and being honest about that. But it is letting that passion come through. I mean, you judge, so you probably know better than I do, but for me, they would be the thing, being concise and passionate.
Agreed. I would add, and don't farm it out to someone else to talk about your passion, because it loses something.
It loses the passion, maybe.
It does.
Yeah.
Right, I agree with you 100%. And moving right along, so that's taken care of the business people that are entering the awards. Yeah. I'd like to talk a little bit about the young, new creatives coming through the industry.
Yeah.
So we've got the Business Hairdressing Awards.
The British Hairdressing Awards.
The British Hairdressing, yeah. Sorry. The British Hairdressing Awards. See, the old age is playing up now. You've
been locked down for too long, Nergish.
I have indeed. But the British Hairdressing Awards, what a responsibility if you win it. What an achievement if you win it. I was speaking to Andrew Barton recently on Conversations with Nergish, and I got to tell you, he said winning it was one thing, but then holding up that being responsible for that title and making sure you represent the British industry well was so important to him.
Yeah.
So if there's a young person that wants to throw their hat in the ring, and of course the fact that you have to really have your peers nominate you, really.
Yes, you do. For British, you do.
So where does a young creative start that journey? Where would it start for them?
I think it's about being the best you can be. And everybody, I personally think everybody needs to set goals and things that they want to work towards and achieve. And if British Hairdresser, you'll go, there's no one clear defined path. You can say, if you do this, this and this, you'll get nominated for British, because it doesn't work like that.
No.
And it is nominated by a vast number of people, not us or the team at Hairdressers Journal, but by industry. I think it's about making yourself known, but known for producing great work, being a great ambassador, continually putting yourself out there, whether it's mentoring, it's offering support to the fellowship, for example, doing, nights with the Fame team or the colour night or any of those things, stuff that gets you noticed. But it's all well and good being noticed, but you've got to be able to back it up. So, you can get noticed, but you need to be noticed and also a phenomenal hairdresser. And that's about continually looking to develop and hone your skills. And I'm sure when you spoke to Andrew, he said that it's a continual learning journey. They're still learning.
It is.
So it's about, for me, I'm not a hairdresser, but I know from talking to the guys, even being nominated is like the biggest thing for them. And it's almost that affirmation that you're doing a fantastic job. But it is about being recognised for doing great work, but also putting stuff back. So part of the brief on the nomination process is that you are a great ambassador for British hairdressing.
Correct.
And that's what that's what we want and will continue to look to uphold. So, and it's also, you know, if you look at the guys and the girls that have been nominated, it's excuse me, they've often won a region, or they've won specialist categories. They've been involved and they've entered. That said, that doesn't make any difference, because some people won and have never entered a region or a specialist category. So, but they've done other stuff. So, you know, people like Antoinette Beenders is absolutely recognised for her phenomenal skill and talent. Now, from memory, I don't think Antoinette had entered, and I might be wrong there, but, you know, she was recognised for the education that she gives through the brands she's worked with, and her vision and the show work that she's done, and absolutely rightly.
Superb. So, but it does help. I mean, they do have to keep a record. They have to have a portfolio. They do have to start, and it does require an investment, doesn't it? You know, it's helpful if the salon is sort of at least nudging them in the right direction.
Yeah, you need that support of somebody. So I interviewed Mark Leeson and Richard Darby this morning, and right. Richard was very much the driving force behind Mark being nominated, and he was pushing Mark to be nominated. But, you know, they have worked long and hard. It's not something that happens overnight. And actually, for British, the bit you have to confirm is the kind of the profile piece. So you can't just claim that you've had all this publicity. We will want to see that you've had the publicity that you claim to have, and then they shoot the 8 images specifically for the event.
Okay, so it's a long journey, but worth taking for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Wonderful. So there's another topic that I think needs to be asked of you, because with Hairdressers Journal and HTI, you know, at some stage we're going to have to start recruiting Gen Z into our industry.
Yeah.
Because, well, they're the upcoming next generation. So is Hairdressers Journal and HTI doing something different in order to attract this younger person, and saying that hairdressing is in fact a worthwhile career?
Yeah, I mean, we continually extol that message, I would like to think, and across all the channels, because, you know, I've always said I would happily support my kids if they wanted to do hairdressing. You know, I think it's a phenomenal career, and where else can you take so many different paths? It's not, you can choose to be a salon-based hairdresser, you can be freelance, you can work overseas, you can take your skills with you. And I always say to people, the only thing that limits your ambition is yourself. Yes. Because if you work hard and put the time and effort in, you can do everything you want to do. I genuinely believe you can do everything you want to do if you continue learning, put yourself out there and keep going. You can keep pushing and strive to whatever you want to be. It's also an industry that's not restricted by age, gender, or anything else. You know, you can continue hairdressing for as long as you want to, and there's nothing holding you back. Of the things that we're kind of doing are, so we've introduced a Trend Image Award at the British Hairdressing Awards. So that's only one image. So they only need to submit one image for the Trend Image category.
Love it.
Yeah, which gets, you know, is more accessible. Some people can't afford, and I understand that. Not that I think you equally have to spend a fortune on a shoot. Correct. But some people can't and don't want to do a shoot of 4 pictures and then another 4 if they have to get through. But with Trend Image, it's one image.
So that's a good starting point. So
yeah, absolutely. And also competitions that we run at the shows, all those kind of things, and stuff like I've mentioned, like HJ Colour Reel, they're a way of getting yourself noticed and getting yourselves involved.
Got it. How fabulous. Yeah. So I'd have to ask you, I mean, I can't have a conversation with Jayne Lewis-Orr and not ask her, how did you get to this position? Tell us your journey, because frankly, it's phenomenal what you do in the industry. And you know, go on, tell us, please.
I suppose, in a way, I served an apprenticeship, and I'm not ashamed to say I didn't go to university. I didn't want to take that route. I went to work at Reed Business Information, which were the owners of Hairdresser, well, the Hair and Beauty Group as it was then. And I literally started as the junior secretary on the group. Yeah, to the sales team actually. But made it very clear when I went there, I wanted to do journalism, because I knew that, you know, in those days they had their own training department and they ran recognised qualifications in journalism. So I convinced them that I could work really hard doing all the admin and everything else, but I could also do the journalistic qualifications, and that's exactly what I did. And it was a hard graft, but I don't believe anything comes easy in this life.
No.
Not if it's worth having, you work for it. So I did that. Then I was promoted to editorial assistant on our beauty magazine then, and then to features writer, features editor, and then ultimately editor. And to be honest, Nergish, and this is the God's honest truth, I never saw myself doing anything more than that. That was my aim. I wanted to be editor of Health and Beauty, and I was there. And then the opportunity came up to take on Hairdresser's Journal as well as Health and Beauty across the two. And it kind of continued from there, really. And I think you're very lucky if you do a job that you love, because it makes it seem a lot less like work.
Yeah, of course.
It does require a lot of time, and when you say your own time, evenings and weekends, but if you love it, you don't mind, because actually most of the time I'm out with people that I would choose to go out with anyway, so it's not really a hardship. So from there I took on the kind of editorial content role across the group, and then 5 years ago in October we moved over to professional beauty, to working with Mark Maloney, who's our MD, and continued to do the same thing there. So now I have responsibility across the events and sales, so more commercial as well as sales, but a very much team effort, working with the team across kind of all areas. So it's great fun.
Well, I've watched you carefully. In fact, it's one of the skills that I'm most envious of that you have, that I simply do not possess. And it's this ability to talk to hundreds of people and make them feel like, they're the only person you're talking to. It's a great gift you have, I have to say. I guess I'm going to ask you a couple of questions before we end this fabulous conversation. One thing I'd like to know, do you ever actually think of your legacy? I know you've got years to come and go, but do you ever think in terms of how you found Hairdresser's Journal? Because I know that's your baby. I mean, I'm talking Hairdresser's Journal, even though you're doing hundreds of other things.
Yeah.
Where you found it, then you took it and moved it along, and where you think it will go with your guidance to the next level, and how you wish to leave it when you finally hand it over. How do you want to, let's not think about that. Am I setting off a panic button in you? Because I don't
just thinking if Mark's watching this, he might be planning my exit strategy.
Oh my God, no, Mark.
No, he won't. I think for me, it's about making sure that we always stay relevant, and it is lovely to have a legacy, but actually you're only as good as your last event, your last issue, your last webinar. And we all make mistakes, we all have, and you just have to learn, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and carry on. But I think for me, it's about making sure that the title and its heritage, and I think we should be super proud of its heritage. 1882 is a fairly long, some days it feels like I've done all of them. Some days it looks like I've done all of them, but it does. But I think so long as we stay relevant and retain what I hope is our position at the heart of the industries that we serve, because for me that's what we should be. We need to be at the heart of what's going on, because we're independent, we're not aligned to any manufacturer or anything else, and we're delivering and continue to deliver the information that people want it when they want it. That would be my parting wish, I suppose, should I ever be leaving.
They'll be taking the grip off one finger at a time, right?
You reckon?
Listen, I think so, for sure. But what I will say to you is that you mentioned we all make mistakes. Would you say you've had funny things, or really, you run a huge show called Salon International. Tell us something funny and both terrifying at the same time. What has been the worst thing that's happened to you and you've had to cope? And no one has ever noticed it, of course.
There are a number of those I could tell you about, I suppose. For Salon, if you're talking about the show, the most terrifying was when on the Friday night, I'd left the halls at about 10 to 11 at night. Everything was ready. It was beautiful, all set to go. It was looking gorgeous. It always looks great because the carpet's perfect, everything's in place. And I literally got to my room and the phone went, and it was our event manager from the venue. And he said, we've got a bit of a problem. Okay. And he said, we're underwater. And I'm like, sorry, it's an indoor venue. And basically there was an issue with the pressure in the water that we didn't know at the time, obviously. But obviously, a lot of the stands have a backwash unit, and it was literally blowing the backwash unit apart, and then was coming out of the top of the stands and just drowning everything. So the team were there till about 3 o'clock in the morning, got them all turned off, all sorted, mopped all the stands out, put everything back so it was exactly as everybody had left it. And I got there at about 6:15 in the morning, because I am completely obsessed about it not, you know, it not being underwater. And I hadn't slept anyway, because when that happens, you kind of don't sleep then. And I got there, and the team met me there, and the guys from the venue were like, "It's fine." And then I was like, "Can anyone hear water?" And it's such a vast space, isn't it? And you're like, it could be anywhere. And it had started again. It was like champagne corks going off. So we relayed with our fantastic contractors 300 square meters of carpet, mopped the stands. It did involve some very undignified lying on the floor in the wet to protect plug sockets and stuff. And it was the only way I could think to stop it, was to literally lie in front of it. Yeah, wasn't good for the suit.
I mean, it seems funny now, but it must have been horrifying.
It was horrific. Honestly, no, I can't tell you. I was just terrified. Because also, what do you say? We can't open if we're under, you know, this is happening. So yeah, that would go down as not, I mean, I look back now and laugh, because actually we all must have looked ridiculous, because we were mopping and crawling around on the floor with mops and God knows what else, but nobody knew. Pretty much nobody knew when we opened.
I didn't know, and I have to say that that's incredible. So I guess when that happens, you just deal with it as it's happening and go with the flow.
Yeah. We had it with the British Hairdresser Awards. The great room there was water running through the chandeliers when I got there on the Sunday night.
Lovely.
So, but it was fine. It was repainted.
You do realize that having lived in Hong Kong for many years, the Chinese believe that water is very good luck for anything, any disaster with water, and it's considered really great luck.
You see, water and electrics don't have that same feeling for me. There was a lot of electrics on the floor. I'm not, when it's coming through the light fittings, I'm not sharing that sentiment, but I'll take it.
That's absolutely the truth. Yeah. They believe any kind of water disaster is good luck. And well, what can I say? I mean, it's been a delight, and it's always a pleasure talking to you. I have great admiration for you, and thank you so much for giving me your time today. I cannot thank you enough, because I know just how insanely busy you are.
You've been very, very kind to me. I was very nervous. So thank you very much.
I don't believe for 1 minute that Jayne Lewis-Orr becomes nervous.
I am. I'm always the person being sick before big events with nerves. Honestly, you are
so good at it. I've watched you on stage. Anyway, you hide it very well indeed.
That's more the truth.
Thank you so much, Jayne.
Thank you,
it's lovely to speak with you.
And you, lots of love and take care.
Thank you. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, and you'll get to see every conversation with every expert.